Hello everybody. Sorry, I was being very slow to post my link today. Here we go. Everything should be fine. Looks like it's fine. Oh, can you guys hear Spotify? Oh, there we go. There we go. Sorry about that. Running a little slow today. My brain. Gareth is here. Hello, Gareth. And Vanessa is here. Hello, Vanessa. How are you guys doing today? Oh, just realized my entire winter coat was just hanging from my chair. Anyhow, getting started. Hello, my name is Sara Mapes, and I am an illustrator and designer from Cleveland, turned paper artist in the past year when I got a Cricut. So I'm going to be continuing working on the biggest paper craft I have ever made. And it's going to be Final Fantasy XIV themed, which is probably one of my favorite games. I've been playing for 10 years. The new expansion just came out. We got a lot of really cool stuff going on in it. So, ooh, I should have opened this before I started. I know everybody who is here has probably already seen this, but for replay purposes, I'm going to show the full thing. Vanessa says, working, but relaxing a bit. That's good. I relaxed the whole morning. I was watching Bliss's stream earlier, and I was playing Pokemon. Speaking of both Gareth and Vanessa, they are both streamers here on Behance, so be sure to go check them out. Just posting a few links in the chat. Okay, let's just crack this bad boy open. Move this out of the way. So, we'll hide the reference for a moment. So, this looks very flat. It looks very plain. I mean, it's very detailed shape-wise, but it's not the level of detail that I would necessarily put in a digital piece of artwork. That being said, that's because it's going to be paper, so it's going to transition. Oh, hold please. I did it again. I did this yesterday. Sorry. Oh my lord. Now my window is stuck. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm a mess. There we go. Sorry about that. So bad at switching cameras sometimes. Now that you can see Illustrator, like I said, this looks plain. The gradients look kind of cheesy. Like, it's not terrible. This is not the level of detail that I would put into a digital illustration, but that's because it's going to be paper. So this is going to like actually translate to the real world from the digital world using the Cricut. So we are pretty much almost at the cutting phase. So today my stream plan is to map out a little bit more detail for this mock-up. We're going to be finishing up painting a mock-up of the background, so that way when I put this on, like, I have to paint it traditionally on a big giant 16 by 20 piece of foam core, I know what I'm doing. So that is the plan today. I just wanted to show you guys like where we got to and everything yesterday. Let's see, Stephen Booth says, oh, hold on, I'm missing things in the stream. Or in the chat. Vanessa says, how do you actually plan a stream, or does it just go with the flow? I pretty much just go with the flow. When I first started streaming, I got super nervous about like planning out what I would do with the stream. I try to work on things that I know are gonna take me like the full 2 hours. It doesn't always go that way. And I tend to work a lot slower on stream too, but that's pretty much how it goes. I just go with the flow. We're kind of at a strange in-between phase with this one where I need to finish this mock-up of the background, and then I can pretty much bring everything into the Cricut and start cutting. But like, I'm not quite ready to do that yet. So I wasn't sure if this portion of it was necessarily going to take that long. We can set up our Cricut space and everything on stream and like talk about like how I'm layering the paper craft process, but I don't know that I'll necessarily get to cutting today. Thank you for the follow, SLP. Here's my button. So if I get to the point where I finish this on stream today and I get what I want to done, I'll probably just end the stream a little bit early. Just because, like I said, it's at an awkward in-between phase and I want time to like set up everything and go through like my paper that I have pre-bought. And I like to like label which paper goes to what and like make myself little notes and stuff. So, you know. Vanessa and Gareth are both saying thanks for the shout out. Stephen Booth is saying, hello, is it that time already? It sure is. I was mentally not prepared. I bought the new Pokemon game, so I was playing that all morning. And Jack Watson is here. Hello, Jack. Jack, I saw you start playing the Pokemon game earlier, too. There is a link to Jack's Behance profile. Jack is also another streamer here on Behance with a subscription. Bliss is here. Bliss is also another streamer here on Behance with a subscription, so be sure to go check both of them out. Let's see. It is super late where both Vanessa and Stephen Booth are. It's nighttime there. It's only 3 p.m. here, or 3 p.m. It's 2 p.m. here. Jack says, I don't have time to play Pokemon, but whatevs. That's fair. Bliss was actually just streaming before me. Oh, Stephen Booth is setting up an iPad for his sister. That's awesome. I hope she likes it. Okay, so we're gonna lock this base background. I think that's fine as is. I would like to just take... I'm gonna make another layer. And what I would like to do is I would like to scatter some... let's see if we can do this one, and then we'll just play with the settings. I kind of want to scatter some like flecks of like nice stars in here. So we're just gonna turn this way up. Let's go scattering. Need dual brush. We don't need noise. I don't think we need any of that. Shape dynamics. So I wonder if I have a scatter brush in here. Hold on. I might already have like a nice scatter brush built into children's illustration brushes. Let's just search star really quick. Yeah. There is just a really nice like light one in here. There's like a soft boy. Maybe there isn't. I thought there was. Let's search soft, maybe. Sorry, I have too many brushes installed and... Maybe I don't. That's okay. Or maybe I'm thinking at Illustrator. I don't know, one of the two. That's fine. We'll just use one of these star scatter brushes. Probably just do that one. Anyhow, I'm just gonna like flick some dots in here. Let's turn this on color dodge. Way up here. There we go. We basically just want to create like some of this atmospheric. I suppose I don't want to get too big with that. But basically I'm just gonna flick some of these dots in here with like a the end of a paintbrush or an old toothbrush, so it gets like kind of like a nice starry scatter effect. And I don't want to get too detailed with this because I don't really want these shapes to like... Let's actually, while we're in here, I'm gonna save out, get rid of the crystal. I'm gonna save out as just a quick PNG of her. That way I can hide and unhide her. One second, I'm looking for the folder. Boop. That way we can kind of see where we're placing stuff. Stephen Booth says setting up the iPad took longer than it should have because she set up a passphrase and then promptly forgot it. I have not done that with an iPad, but I've done that with like other websites before, and I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, so now we can come into our crystal area and we will let's duplicate that area. Select inverse. Bring that up. Okay. It'll probably be good to take what have I pressed? There we go. Vanessa says, I wish I had your daytime, Sarah. Hehehe. I feel it. I feel it. I wish there were more hours in the day. That way I could do more. Stay up longer. 10 p.m. hits and I'm ready for bed. Bliss says, hoping everyone is well and fine this Sunday. You too, Bliss. This is just a big fluffy texture brush that I'm using. And this crystal is gonna be, I have like clear, I think it's called acetate. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at that. Basically, I just plan to put a very light layer of paint over that clear acetate. And then I have like some mesh blue fabric that's like, it's kind of like tulle almost, that you would put in like a dress. I've had it sitting in my sewing kit forever, and I think it would be perfect. It's got some sparklies in it. I think it would be absolutely perfect to put inside of the crystal with some fairy lights to kind of like light it up and get like this semi-glittery effect that we have going on in the crystal. Just think it'll be good. Let's go down to our Ghibli brushes that we have. I definitely have some dot scattering in here that I forgot about until right this moment. We can put those in the background too. Back here and see if we can set some bigger Maybe we'll set some bigger sparkles in here. That's better. I completely forgot I had these dots. I was trying to like search for them as stars. Vanessa says only 5 hours left before Monday. Isn't that the struggle? I feel your pain. Let's do this. And we're gonna set this to multiply. Hey, Katarina. Katarina is in the chat now. How are you doing today? So we got some nice texture going in here. Some take this big airbrush now. Excuse me. So you guys kind of get like the idea of what this is kind of supposed to look like. Like I said, this will just end up being a very light wash anyhow over the clear stuff, so see, Vanessa says, still need 2 pages to finish. 2 pages of what? Homework? Or are you writing something? Or do you have like a comic going? Katarina says, hi, Sarah. Working Sunday. Always a working Sunday. Are you at work today, Katarina? Vanessa says an illustration. Gotcha, gotcha. Is it like a comic illustration, or is it just like pieces of an illustration? Okay, so behind this crystal, let's make a nice glow, because that's kind of what we want the light to do anyhow. I have a feeling I'm gonna struggle with making the glow. I haven't decided yet if I want to paint if I wanted to paint the background on stream or if I just want to have it set up. I'm not like afraid to paint it on stream. I just don't know how I would like capture it because it's so gigantic and I don't have like an easel, if that makes sense. So like I'd have to paint on the table, which is fine for me, but like for you guys, probably not so much. So the fairy lights that we bought are also, they're pretty long. They're very small. So I'm hoping that's probably a little too much glow there. Okay, let's duplicate this. Oops. So I just duplicated the mask here. Katarina says, so will it always be like this, Sarah, working Sunday? It sure will. Unless anything comes up, this is like hopefully my set stream schedule for working. Although I slacked off this morning, like I said, I was playing Pokemon while I was watching Bliss's stream. Vanessa says a children's book. I think I'm very slow. Don't know if they get annoyed at me. That's super cool though. I have always dreamed of wanting to like illustrate a children's book or do like a little story of the Moon Puff and the Sun Puff as like my own little like digital children's book that like it would be free obviously that I would like post to Behance and people could like look at, but I haven't like done like a story yet, but I think that's super cool. Katarina says I love the crystal. Thank you. I'm glad. Let's turn that back. I hope I can translate this into like actual paint too, so we'll see. But this is pretty much the idea. So now I want to take like a super color dodge. I want to take like a fluffy textured brush. Right, from my Jing sketch brushes. Go soft, like a big fluffy textured brush like this, so it'll kind of look like that. And I really want to like pinpoint where some of these lights are going to be, which I think might be, it's probably going to be kind of hard. So I'm kind of hoping this is how the fairy lights are going to look. I might do like a little mock-up too, where I make like maybe like a little like mock packaging box or something out of the acetone with like a wash over it. And then I might like go buy like a little tea light or something. I actually might have a little tea light somewhere. Just like something really cute to like test how it will look. But that is basically kind of what I'm hoping that the crystal, like, it's obviously not going to quite look like that because it's like, I'm not going to be painting in that detail, but I'm hoping that like, this will kind of be the result. And then I'll kind of like paint in this glow a little bit over the background. Vanessa says peasants. Hooray! Sunday, free! Creatives, working Sunday. That is correct. We work every day. um, Vanessa says, I don't too, but we get tasks per page and such. Don't dream, just do. I mean, that's fair. I have like the start, like I have notes and stuff made for like the structure of how I would like a little story to go with the Moon Puff and the Sun Puff. But then I've been busy with like subscriber stuff and like this project, and I was doing another freelance project too. It's just like a small logo design. It's just for Dave's mom. It's nothing like huge. And then I got sick. So that was like a 3-week prolonged process, and now it's just kind of been put on the back burner. Just add a little bit more texture in here. The texture is mostly just meant to represent like the tool with like the sparkles that I have. I really should have gone and grabbed my materials before the stream to show you guys. And I just didn't think about it. Vanessa says, oh, you don't have to write the story. You can if you want to. I work via an agency. Yeah, that's fair. I always thought that would be super fun too. I work for a creative agency, but we don't do like children's books and stuff, so. Okay. You know, maybe I just will start cutting on stream and I'll just put my Be Right Back screen up and just like go get my materials. They're right behind me. I just have to move the table. I don't know. We'll see. I'm so indecisive. It's kind of one of those days where like I didn't know how far I was going to get and how quickly, and I pretty much got to where I wanted to get to quickly. Okay, let's see if we can use, is this kind of what I want? Yes, I just want to put some of like this swirly wispiness in the background. So we're gonna put that, yes, we're just gonna call this stars. And we're not gonna get as crazy as the picture. Oh my lord, please. Thank you. But I think it might be kind of nice just to put like some of this in here. Not on the star layer, Sarah. And all of this is gonna have to go underneath the crystal. It can't go in front of the crystal unless I choose to like use either paper or like the clear stuff that I have. So I think for right now, for this mock-up purpose, we're just gonna leave it behind here. Stephen Booth says that mouse could have fit into the kid's book, so long as the publisher was going for realism. That mouse was super fun to draw. Out of context, but I had a lot of fun drawing that mouse. I think if I were to do like more like kids book oriented stuff, it would be like super simplified and it would be like nice and textured. Getting a little too crazy with this one. I worked at I've talked about this before. I worked at like a a kids like creative pottery studio where they taught like painting classes and stuff. And if I didn't work there for, I think I was there for 3 years, 2 or 3 years, something like that. If I didn't work there for that long, I don't think I would ever paint my papercraft backgrounds. I think I would just try to find like a way to print everything out, which I don't think would have like necessarily the most desired effect. But we did like canvas classes and like pottery classes, wine painting classes, lots of stuff. It was a lot of fun. Just COVID happened and I didn't want to work 2 jobs anymore, so. Katarina says, LOL, I like mixing media. I do too. When I was like younger, I always liked to like paint stuff like in high school. Because I didn't really have like a Wacom or anything. I think I got my first Intuos when I was 17 or something. My grandparents got it for me. Did I just see thumbs? I did. Hello, Adobe Live. Hello, thumbs. Oh, did I say wine painting? Stephen Booth says wine painting. Did I mishear? Wine glass painting. I'm sorry. I might have said wine painting on accident. But it would pretty much be like your paint and sip kind of things. I don't know if they have those there, Stephen Booth, but basically like people just get together to paint like canvases from like an instructor. It's basically like paint by number, a little more complex. They like trace on like the canvas design and just teach you like how to mix paint colors and stuff like that. Actually, I don't like this down here. I think I might delete that and kind of, I don't like either of those down there. We're just gonna keep these very brief. Like that might be a little bit better. I just realized Bliss is saying hello to everybody, and Miss said Vanessa's asking whose mouse. I painted a mouse earlier in the week. It was for work, but it like I posted a very, very rough block in of just like a mouse. It wasn't like the finished thing or anything. It was just, look, I painted this. Mostly just practicing fur and stuff. Okay, I think that's pretty good. For this for now. So I think the other thing that I'm gonna do while I'm in here is I'm gonna paint in some very soft, textured, airbrushed shadows into certain places. Like in the fabric and stuff, just to kind of, again, like mock up where stuff needs to be. Actually, I wonder if I just want to get a little bit more before I do that. Or if I could just push this a little bit. Just put a couple of like harsher highlights in here. Just something like that. I wonder for this guy, take this and let's click this. Let's do a save really quick just in case. So let's go drop shadow. I don't really think you can see that. It's not quite. There we go. Let's do that. Too much. There we go. So I know like adding a drop shadow here is probably just a smidge weird. I know it doesn't like necessarily look right, but it's gonna help me like visualize how this is going to look. Let's just go ahead and we can rasterize her. It's gonna help me visualize how it's gonna look in layers with the paper. So the crystal is obviously gonna float off of the background, so there's always going to be like a shadow casting some way, shape, or form, and the same thing with like Hydaelyn here. There will, however, like in between all of the layers, like her head's gonna be a layer, her body's gonna be a layer. We've talked about this before. There will be shadows like being cast a little bit more dramatically, depending on what angle you look at this and the lighting and stuff, like when it's actually paper. So I'm gonna do just a very basic rasterize layer, Sarah. A very basic, just kind of setup of that. We'll do it like that. Just so you can kind of see it start to kind of like get layered from the paper. Let's take this again. Stephen Booth says, I went to a Paint and Sangria event a few years ago. It was billed as a beginner's event, but when I got there, it wasn't. Oh. Everything we did at the studio that I worked at like came in like categories. So when the person like booked the party, we would like tell that like warn them ahead of time, or if it was a class, it would be marked as like a certain thing, like beginner, like intermediate, and it would be based upon like time. So like we were real cautious about that because you don't want people to like show up and get frustrated, like that the painting's too hard and then not have a good time. So I feel where you're coming from with that. I went to another one too. It was at my mom's campground, and they had us like literally paint from scratch, and a lot of the women were frustrated. There was like a horizon line sketched out on the canvas, and that was it. There were no other marks where like other stuff should go. So a lot of the women got frustrated because of that. And see, Bliss says, I like the swirling behind the crystal. Thank you. I like that too. I wasn't originally going to add that, but I'm actually a very large fan. Steven Booth says, I think the organizers basically want to get other people to pay for their afternoon painting sesh. I mean, that might have been possible. I don't know. Bliss says, I pretty much love anything that's swirly and add the glow and you got me. Same, Bliss. Doing like a blue like glow is my favorite thing to do in Photoshop because it's just, blue is such a nice color, and like that teal like just makes everything pop. I feel it. uh, Jabove is here. Hello. They're saying hello. Hello. How are you doing today? And Stephen Booth says, the event was basically there's a picture to copy and there's a canvas and some basic acrylics. That'll be a 50 quid. See, that's not how it was for us. We would trace the image onto the canvas. You got water, you got a set of brushes that like were written out in instructions for like the instructor to like regurgitate back to you. Like, you're gonna use your big brush now, your small brush here, the medium square brush here, and like we would show you what like brush to use. And then we would have like extra paint set up, obviously, if people needed extra paint. And then you would get a paper plate and like a palette that would have like the paint like portioned out on it. And then we would teach you like step by step, okay, you need 4 scoops of like blue and like 2 scoops of yellow and a small dab of like brown to make this color, like stuff like that. And then you'd have the people mix the color, and then you'd tell them like, if you want it to be more watered down, add some water to it, like stuff like that. And then we would like literally walk you through like where to put that color and like the layers and everything. It was a lot of work. Anyhow. We are going to not delete the layer, but we are going to duplicate this Hydaelyn layer. Let's clear the layer style. The only thing that I did not like about that job was when you had customers that wouldn't like understand what you were trying to say, and then you try to like walk them through it to be like because you want them to succeed and you want them to do good. And if they got frustrated with it, it was very hard a lot of the time to like talk them back from the situation, if that makes sense, and like try to walk them through it, because like people get embarrassed easily and like stuff like that. So I have like a hard time with confrontation. Okay, so we're gonna make a nice little layer mask of that. So we just have we have her masked out. Oh, we should probably add in here, huh? Cancel. Okay. Now we have a nice mask. So I'm just gonna set this to multiply. Like that. We cleared the layer, so now it's just like a blank layer mask that we can work in. Everything is set to multiply, and we're just gonna take we're gonna take this very small airbrush here, and we're just basically gonna airbrush in where like shading needs to be. And I could have done this in Illustrator, but I think that it would have taken, it might help if I changed my color. I think it would have taken a considerable amount of time in Illustrator that I was just not willing to like put in the effort of, when I could just brush things in easier in here, if that makes sense. Under here can like be cast in like a little bit of shadow. And I will bring down the opacity on this multiply mode. I'm also working in like a very dark blue that's almost black. As I keep hiccuping, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't normally do this if I was working on this as like an actual digital painting. You know, maybe after I'm done with the papercraft version, I'll revisit this and I'll actually like paint in some of this. But for mock-up purposes, I think this is more than fine to do to like place where I want to have like shading and stuff. To like define my light source and so on. Stephen Booth says, I later did the digital oils and fresco of the picture and the third one down and messing about in fresco project on my Behance. I'll go check that out when we're done with the when I'm done with the stream. The lake that I painted for the one that I was talking about at my parents' camper, I had considered taking that in digitally and giving it to my mom as a present like one year. Make it a bit more detailed or something. I don't know. Very roughly, we're gonna put in this shading in here like this. And like this is just one big layer mask too, so I don't have like, you know, not everything's set separate like I would normally do in a digital painting, so some of like the shading might like come off of her body a little bit, which doesn't look like super fantastic, but it's for the purpose of like this mock-up, this is fine. This is what I would be doing if I was not painting on stream too, and like I said, I wanted to work on this whole process from start to finish on stream so you guys could see like all of the prep work and stuff that go into some of these. The bee one was pretty easy that I did, the bee paper craft. That one was not quite as complex. Probably just bring this down to like a 60 now. Not quite as dark. Probably come in here with a harder paintbrush and like paint in some like lines too. Kind of paint in some small, very thin lines with a colored pencil here. Color in, I should say. So it looks like her hair isn't just like plastered on top of her head. See, I would come in here with like don't want to get like too into it because then it starts to look messy. Odari is here. Hello, Odari. Odari says, hey, Sarah. Hey, folks. Looking great so far, Sarah. Thank you, Odari. Odari is another streamer on Behance with a subscription. There is a link to Odari's profile in the chat, so be sure to check Odari's profile out. Then we can switch this picture so you guys can kind of see what she looks like a little bit better. And then the final version won't have like all of these, the black lines that are like separating each object. Those will not be visible at all. Basically, you just want to let the paper talk for itself, if that makes sense, without like going into like too much shading in here. But while still like adding, you know, some flair and some depth to it. Keep hitting the wrong button, I apologize. Zoom out a little bit. You can kind of see like what direction this is going. I also, for the paper that I chose for her, I did not pick, it's not a pure white paper. I have some pure white, but I tried to stay away from doing like pure white because I figured that would be really hard to like shade. So, it's kind of like a shimmery, like off-white color that I picked. That'll be a layer. This will be a layer, so this will probably cast like a shadow here. The wings will have like their connecting lines in here that I would go through and like detail some of that. Actually push this a little bit more blue when we get to like the fabric here, which you can really tell anyhow. Very loosely color this in. Don't need to spend like a ton of time on it, just to get like a rough mock-up idea. I'm really trying to drive that point home if you can't tell. This will all be covered in a shadow because it's behind. Same over here. Oh, I've shaken my whole desk. I apologize. This will kind of cast a shadow here. The paper. Kind of just drew through her hand a little bit, but that's okay. And then don't forget that like her wings and her these two pieces of cloth here are literally going to hang off of the board. So they're cut off in like the mock-up here, but and I know there's like shading and stuff going in places where it shouldn't, like you can see like where the multiply brush is kind of like bleeding a little bit. Like onto objects it's not supposed to. That's fine. For the purpose of this. If this was like an actual, like I said, like an actual digital painting, there's no way that I would like, this would all be on like separate layers. I'd be like super careful to pay attention to like where the lighting was hitting her. But you can only do so much with paper, so. And then each one of these feathers is like is going to be on its own layer of paper. So it will have like a drop shadow casting as well as like a light hint of like, so there will be like a drop shadow through here, kind of like this. Some texture painted in here. You can't really see that part of her right now, but that's okay. on a little bit of shading in here. Be like a shadow cast down here. Okay, so then let's actually duplicate this one more time. That looks horrendous. Delete. Put that back to normal. Put underneath that other mask. And then we just need to take like probably just this color blue, and there are like spots of like blue that I will need to basically put on if you look, there's like some blue designs in here that'll need to get like put on with probably a metallic marker. I've talked about that a whole bunch on this stream before. There's some blue like here on her collarbones. I don't think you can really see it from that picture. There is also like just some blue like brushed in places here that I'll probably brush in with like, I keep saying like brush in, but like it's mostly gonna be like drawn in is really what I'm trying to say. If you like look in here, there's like blue. Let's see if I can actually make this a little bit bigger. Oh, knocking my mouse all around. There we go. I'm just gonna move this over here for right now. But you can see there's like just has blue like everywhere. Kind of took care of like that down there. I think as long as we kind of like hint where it's supposed to be, even if it doesn't follow her pattern exactly, we'll be okay. Because I feel like it would take me 7,000 years to kind of match that accurately. So like these solid blue areas would be like, those would be paper. So I would be drawing this like directly on her body. Matches in some areas. the same thing. We probably want to grab like a darker blue for some of this. And then kind of like brush this in certain places where it appears. Really should just be like this color in all honesty. It's kind of mixed in there a little bit. She just has a lot of detail on her. Woo. Darken that up in certain places a little bit. But I mean, basically this is it. We're almost ready to start cutting, and I'm super excited. Kind of like zoom out of that. What time is it? So it's just about 3 o'clock. So this took about like an hour to mock up. Let's save this. Vanessa says, can't wait to watch you papercraft. I can't wait to work on it. I am super excited. Let's just close, we're gonna close the reference viewer for now. And then I guess the last thing that I will start to do on stream today, like I said, I kind of ended up in a weird place. Oh, there's a Cricut design space. They keep changing the logo for the Cricut design space. Apparently it has an update. Cricut design space, for the record, also updates like every other day. I'm not kidding. Katarina says Cricut time. That's right. So let's go new project. We're gonna minimize that. We can save this. We can close that. We don't need that open right now because we also don't need that open. That's like the color mockup. We need this guy. Okay, so before we get it into the design space, we're gonna get rid of our sketch and our reference. We can get rid of this body backup layer. Actually, no, let's just undo that. We're gonna save another copy. Let's just go. Sorry, 1 second. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm gonna put that mock-up in there. We're gonna put that one in there. New folder, PSD mock. Oops. Mockups. Put that guy in there. And then we can put both of these guys in here. Okay, so now we have a copy of this, so I'm just gonna call this Hydaelyn Cricut Prep. Oh, Laura is here. Hello, Laura. How are you doing today? Laura is another streamer here on Behance with a subscription, so be sure to go check Laura out. There is a link to her Behance profile in the chat. Okay, so now we can get rid of our unneeded layers. And basically while we're in here, we're gonna color everything. Super weird. And we're gonna do that on purpose because I need to be able to define in the Cricut what shapes get cut out on what paper. So we're pretty much almost halfway there with all of this. We can go ahead. We're gonna leave the wings gray, so we're gonna hide those. Those will be done. We can hide the crystal. That one's gonna be done. This headpiece here, that can get cut out with the same, oh no, this has to be changed. So we're gonna just change this to a really dark blue. Doesn't really matter what color you change it to. I suppose we could lighten it up a smidge, but it really doesn't matter. We can get rid of this extra layer. So that one's done. We can hide that. Let's take the crystal. We need to make these floating crystals behind her head will need to be the same color. So this guy will need to be the same color. And then we can go ahead and check those off our list. See, Katarina is asking, did I miss anything? I was grabbing a bite. Nope, we just went back into Illustrator and basically we're separating out all of our shapes by color right now. So that way I can tell the Cricut what color to cut everything and I can organize it by color. So it will cut everything that I need it to cut on the same piece of paper as long as there's space. So it like color coordinates to the paper. Bliss says, so many of us seem hungry today. Yes, Bliss was talking about food on her stream earlier. Bliss says, I'm back and forth to the kitchen, fixing me up something to eat. I'm probably gonna eat after this while I watch Jack's stream. No lie. Okay, so the head, the body, the bat wings, and the hair can all stay on this white layer. That's probably good. We need to take this gray here, and we need to put that on its own layer. So this is gonna be body, design. So let's go ahead and we're just gonna leave it that dark gray color for right now, because I don't think we reuse this. So this, these need to be centered with each other. Push that over a smidge. Save, that's fine. The boots need to be the same color, so we're just gonna make them like that really bright teal color. Go ahead and hide that. We need to make sure this fabric is the same color. Basically, we're gonna cut all of the fabric out on the same type of paper. So let's take all of this and we will just make it this blue color. So those are all color coordinated. Go ahead and make sure we hide all of these. Hide that and that. Excuse me. I think these wings we can make the same color as the back wings. And then the sword we will just need to work out. Let's unhide everything to see if we can stack these on the same color as anything. I also lied, I need to open this up again because I need to be able to see her sword color. Okay. This big long thing, I think we can just make this that color. Just like this, and these two gems here need to be the same color. This and this can be the same color. Purple. And then we'll also make this the same color as the sword. Okay, so that prep work is done. We need to select, let's unlock everything. Just gonna close that guy again. So we're going to select everything, select seam, stroke color that has a black stroke on it. And we're gonna get rid of it because I don't want the Cricut to pick that up. It will literally think the stroke is a stroke and it will think that I need like a pen to draw it on. We don't want that. That is a piece and this is a piece. Okay, we're gonna get rid of the eyeballs because I'm gonna end up drawing those on. But we're gonna have the Cricut mark. Let's go on the head back layer. We're gonna have the Cricut mark where the pupils go. Hello, Noodle. Come back here. Oh, she ran away. I was gonna come have her say hi. Katarina says, I'm excited to see the process. And Odari's saying, I'm getting hungry now and love the eyes. I love the eyes too, although they look super creepy right now because everything's just in white. And we have Miguel in the chat. Hello, Miguel. How are you doing today? Miguel says super. Thanks. Okay, so that is on the head. That is on the head. We are going to change these to strokes. I know that looks super goofy right now, but I promise it will make sense. These are strokes, that's a stroke. I said I needed to go back and fix this foot, and I never did. There we go. Okay. Again, looks super goofy. It's supposed to. We are gonna clear our guides. Edit the artboards. Actually, we're gonna edit the artboards to be 12 by 12. Maybe. No, we're not. Okay, so everything is ungrouped now, which is super spooky because we have all these shapes that we can't really see because everything's like colored the same. So, save. We're going to go save as to my computer, and we're just gonna save it as an SVG. Boop. Okay, so let's close that. We're gonna come back into the Cricut design space, upload. We're gonna see if it yells at me or not. Wow, that's a large image. It sure is. Okay. So you guys can see each of these squares represents, like the squares that are on the grid represent a square on the Cricut mat, which will tell you how big everything is. So cancel. Let's save this really quick. So it's pretty big. That's okay. I don't know why I just hit new. I just did that before too, and I don't. That's why I saved. come back in here. I go to customize. Sorry, friends. Just get a little button happy. Make sure everything is ungrouped. Okay, so there's a few things that we need to do in here. If we come in here, I know it's probably really hard to see, but you can see that these areas are set to basic cut. We need them to not be basic cut. So let's just hide the crystal for right now. Come into our body. So you can see in this area here, it's highlighted these things. So the body can be a basic cut because we're going to be cutting that out of paper, but these need to be pens. We used to be able to set like yeah, I scooted those over and I shouldn't have. Used to be able to set like what type of pen it would be, and I just, it's fine. There you go. And we I shouldn't have scooted these over inside of Illustrator. I thought I was centering them, but I was incorrect. Oh, we're gonna move the entire body. Sorry, sometimes the Cricut space can be a little fickle, and it's mad right now, for lack of a better word. I'm actually kind of getting a little annoyed with this right now. So, the Cricut design space is a little fickle. And the fact that like if you're not actually clicking an object and you're clicking off of an object, it will like select that object, as you can tell. And I hate it. I really just need this singular piece to scoot over. And like the arrow keys aren't doing anything. Oh my lord. There we go. Sorry everyone. There we go. Got it. Katarina is asking, do you got like layers in there or is it flat? There are layers in here, however, you can't lock them like you would be able to in like Illustrator. So it's like super inconvenient sometimes. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna break this gal apart. Oh no, no we're not. I'm a liar. I am a terrible liar. We need to attach what I was just doing. So these two pen things, we're going to attach it to the body. It's okay that it went over that. So that is one object now. So basically what that is doing is it is telling the Cricut that it is to draw those objects on top of that like paper. So we're just gonna hide that really quick. We need to do the same thing with her head up here. So we have basically these two. What is this? I think there are some remnants in there. Oh she has eyebrows. Let's see if we cannot bring these forward. Okay, hold on. We're going to attach, these eyebrows need to be attached to her head. So let's just take all of this and we can attach that. There's her eyebrows, now you can see them. So we need to tell it that the mouth and all of this are actually penned. So it's going to draw those on versus cutting them. So now I need the back of the head. Let's see if I can find that. As you can see, it named all of my groups Cricket Prep instead of the actual groups that they are. Let's hide this guy. Ooh, that looks great. Hide the forehead. There we go. Maybe? Maybe not. So many pieces of paper. I told you guys I was gonna cry when I do this. I'm just gonna be on like stream, like crying. Not like in a bad way. I'm just gonna be like, why did I do this to myself? Why? There it is. Okay, so we need to set these as pen. And we're gonna attach them to the back head. So I actually have, she has a forehead, she has a head shape, and then she has a second head shape. And I explained this before on like one of the first streams. The purpose of the second head shape is so that you kind of sandwich the neck between two heads, basically. The back head shape will act as the eye whites, and that's where you'll draw on the eyeballs. And then the front of the head will act as like basically the front planes of your face and like the eyelashes and stuff. It just gives it a little bit more depth. Okay. So, looks super goofy, I know. We've saved it. We gotta make sure we unhide everything. So let's just do a quick, just a quick little look through here, make sure nothing is hidden. It doesn't look like anything is hidden. She looks super spooky right now. And then we're gonna hit color sync. So basically with the color sync, I learned this from another streamer, by the way. I didn't know this was a thing until I watched the other Sara streamer, Papercraft, and this saved my life, basically. I would have had to organize all of this by hand, and I don't have to do that anymore. So basically what this does is it took all those colors that we preset up in Illustrator, and it is, you can see these groups on like the side panel over here. It is telling you that like, all of these pieces go to like certain things. So we're in good shape. I am, however, going to move around this design area. I'm gonna move the pieces just a little bit for organizational purposes so I can see if there's anything that's like super wonky in here, if that makes sense. It's the sword. Got hands, hair, bat wings. There's some cloth, there's some other wings. A little head crystal. Okay, so now I can make sure that there's no like extra shapes in here. Nothing like funky is happening. Actually, we'll probably leave that grouped. Okay, save it one more time. Sorry, that's only like 2 inches wide. That's gonna be so small. Okay. We have color sync. It looks like everything is okay. Vanessa says, I'm gonna call it a day and hit, that was a hiccup, I apologize, and hit my bed. Thanks for the stream, Sarah. Bye all. Get some good sleep, Vanessa. We will see you next weekend or on Behance during the week. Thanks for popping in and staying up late and watching me. It is always appreciated. Okay, so last little bit of the stream so you guys can kind of see how this works is we're gonna go up to make it. Got it. So it's yelling at me because one of these is larger than the 12 by 12 size mat, and it's this one. I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to pretend that one doesn't exist. I'm just going to hit OK. I don't have a larger mat at this present moment. So my options are I can either go buy a larger mat to make that cut as one shape, or I can cut it into parts. We'll see. Okay, so if you look in here, we have all of Hydaelyn's body parts. You can see that this is attached here. Her eye, words are hard, her eyelashes, her mouth, and her eyebrows are attached to her head. The pupils are marked on her head, so I know where I need to draw like the irises in for her eyeballs. That's a color. Here is one portion of the wings. There's another portion of the wings. I could move pieces up here to save space and save paper, but I think we're okay right now. I actually have no idea what these two tiny pieces are. I think they're artifacts. They're fine. I'm just gonna leave them. So we're just gonna go through here and check to make sure we have all of these pieces. And we do. One more set. In all honesty, this could probably fit on. Or if we can just move that, yeah. We can just move these in here so it doesn't take an extra. Oh, Katarina, did you think you finished something and you didn't? You're like, oops, I've done that before. I'll forget about things sometimes. So that way that's all on one piece of paper. Katarina said in the chat, oh, I finished a project to realize I haven't actually finished it. It happens. Okay, so this mat has nothing on it right now, which is fine. We don't need to put anything on it. These are the boots. So basically, during my next stream, I am ready to start cutting. I'm not going to do that today, obviously. There's only a half an hour left in my stream, like as is, so we're going to hit cancel, and then we're going to save this. And I think this is like a good stopping point for today's stream. I'm sad it didn't go the full 2 hours, but I mean, I made really good progress on this in the past 2 days. I'm ready to start painting the background. We have our mock-up finished. Wherever that went. Oh, I moved it. That's why it's angry. So we have our mock-up finished. We have everything laid out in the Cricut. We have our vector reference. I just need to set up an area and get cracking. We have Zara in the chat. Zara says, hello there. Hello. I'm so sorry. I'm about to actually wrap up streaming today. I normally go for about another half hour, but I came to a point in the project where I can't go any further. So that's okay. So yeah, I think this is going to be it for today's stream. If anybody has any questions or anything before I finish up, please let me know. You can go ahead and close that. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to get started on this. I can't wait to I can't wait to go. Okay, so on that note, I just wanted to say thank you everybody who tuned into my stream today. Bliss, Gareth. Jack is streaming after me today, so be sure to go check out Jack. Jabove, Katarina, Laura, Miguel, Odari, Stephen Booth, Vanessa, who just went to bed, Zara, thanks for popping in at the last minute. And I will see you guys next weekend or during the week if I feel so inclined to stream this because I get excited. We'll see. I'm very excited. But bye, everyone. I will see you in Jack's stream, and I will see you next weekend and around Behance.